The real Ghostbusters will return after these messages.
It's 3:42, and afternoon practice means afternoon hunger.
If I'm dancing and I'm hungry, I eat a Snickers, and then I can dance again.
The first step is eating the Snickers bar and getting rid of my hunger so I can get on to the next step, which is playing ball.
And my mom will keep Snickers in the cabinet in the kitchen, and I'll go get one, and it fills me up, pushing through till dinner.
Snickers, crunchy peanuts, peanut butter nougat, caramel, and milk chocolate.
I'm so hungry.
Packed with peanuts, Snickers really satisfies.
Snickers really satisfies you.
To defeat the evil Decepticons, Nebulons team up with Autobots to become Power Masters.
Their engine's the key that unlocks their Transformer energy.
We're under attack! Oh no, the Decepticons have Power Masters too! Transform Optimus Prime!
Power Master Transformers, they've got the power to surprise.
Optimus is becoming a Super Power Master! Who will win? Find out in Marvel Comics.
Catch Lucky. He's got Lucky Charms.
Oh, I'll make a roller coaster and ride with me Lucky Charms. The crunchy old cereal with a rainbow of marshmallow surprises.
Quick, hold!
Whoops.
Tough break, Lucky. Frosted Lucky Charms.
A marshmallowy part of this nutritious breakfast.
Ta-da! The famous floating pencil. Behold.
Magic tricks you can do. 1 free in specially marked boxes of Lucky Charms.
The real Ghostbusters will return after these messages.
Ready, Mr. Rock and Roll, that's wacky, wild, Kool-Aid style.
Kool-Aid style.
Wacky, wild.
Let's be wacky.
Tastes so wild.
Kool-Aid style.
Wacky, wild, Kool-Aid style.
Kool-Aid soft drinks.
Oh, yeah.
When we left him, the rabbit needed a name to get tricks.
Here's your name.
Now I'll get me some truly terrific, totally tasty, tutti fruity tricks. The scrumptious part of this here complete breakfast. Thanks, kids, for giving a name to this here rabbit.
Rabbit?
Oops.
Silly rabbit, names are for regular folks. And tricks are for kids. Ta-da! The famous floating pencil. Behold.
Magic tricks you can do. 1 free in specially marked boxes of tricks.
Wake up to the hot taste of Kellogg's Hot Tarts.
So hot, they're cool. So cool, they're hot. Hot Tarts popping up and popping hot. Hot taste so cool inside, they're hot. Taste the real fruit so hot, hot, hot.
Real fruit fillings give Pop Tarts an incredible taste. So hot, they're cool.
Hot taste so cool, so cool, they're hot.
We now return to the real Ghostbusters. The real Ghostbusters will return after these messages.
Born in fire, formed in flames, Hot Wheels breaks new barriers.
It's just an ordinary car. Oh, yeah? There's a Hot Wheels inside.
Slip behind the wheel, sight your target through the windshield, steer, and launch. The Hot Wheels Sight and Smash Booster Set puts you in the driver's seat.
Sight and smash.
Sight and Smash Booster Set, not for use with some cars, comes with everything you see here from Hot Wheels.
Fruity marshmallow crispies, lots of fruity marshmallow shapes. Get you snap, crackle, popping over lots of fruit taste.
Wow!
Fruity marshmallow crispies, orange, lemon, raspberry, grape for lots of fruit taste.
Kellogg's Fruity Marshmallow Crispies, part of this complete breakfast.
Fruity marshmallow crispies.
A Fruity Marshmallow Crispies joke machine can make you a comedian.
Why does a cat wear a bell? 'Cause its arms don't work.
1 free in Fruity Marshmallow Crispies.
We are going where no man has gone before.
Child's Play becomes an out-of-this-world adventure.
Nice going, kid.
We're going straight up.
Oh my God.
When a powerful alien force draws them beyond the stars.
They're here.
River Phoenix blasts off into outer space in Explorers, a world premiere. Coming April 30th at 6 to TV 44, the movie station.
We now return to the real Ghostbusters.
The Bradys are stranded in a ghost town as their Grand Canyon adventure continues. The Brady Bunch coming up next on TV 44. Stay tuned.
Geek.
Scoop Wilson here with the play-by-play on the season's biggest baseball event. Baskin-Robbins Baseball Helmet Sundays. A double play with your favorite ice cream flavors. There's action on the mound now as a flat is poured on and the toppings hit home. Best of all, you get your sundae served in a mini baseball helmet. Choose your favorite teams or collect all 26. Baskin-Robbins, you're batting 1,000. A 2-scoop sundae served in a mini baseball helmet. And the helmet's free.
I love tortilla chips, but they can be a little chilly.
But now there's new Sancheros. Sancheros light and crispy because they're made by pequeños Kebleros.
The Keebler Elves introduce Sancheros, authentic stone ground corn tortilla chips, made extra thin, light, and crispy. Original, nacho, salsa.
Sancheros. Sancheros light and crispy because they're made by pequeños Kebleros.
Look, it's Lucky and his marshmallowy Lucky Charms. Let's get some.
Oh, get after me, Princess Lucky Charms. I'll make it nighttime and hide in the dark. Me marshmallow charms, hearts, moons, clovers, diamonds, and horseshoes. But where are me delicious orange star marshmallows?
Look!
Beautiful.
Baby, even there is full of Lucky Charms.
Yes, the magical part of this complete breakfast.
Frosted Lucky Charms.
My friends are we delicious.
The case of the Big Bet job. Big Boss and his gang of crooks were escaping in the roadster, but hot on the tail was Officer Highway on the cop cycle, and he wasn't letting this bunch of crooks get away. Cops and crooks, vehicles and figures sold separately, with caps. Now the greats are back as classic pretenders. Jazz, Bumblebee, Starscream, and Grimlock.
Beyond anything you've ever seen before. Transformers, classic pretenders. Me, Grimlock, and Jazz. Transformers.
These are the men and women of cops, fighting crime in a future time. Highway, stopping crooks in the fast lane. Mainframe, our computer whiz who loves to fly into action. Long Arm, street smart tough, and the friendliest cop on the beat. Hard Top, the best driver on the force. Mace, catching a crook, makes him smile.
That's today at 3:30 on TV 44.
Ghostbusters will return after these messages.
Think we'll beat that time?
Sure we will. After this complete breakfast, including my Frosted Flakes, they bring out the tiger in you.
Beat that if you're any good.
Good? They're great!
You'll show them you're a tiger. Show them what you can do. The taste of Tony's Frosted Flakes brings out the tiger in you.
Now in Frosted Flakes, my Glow Lock.
Check it out.
It makes a statement on a belt, a shoe, a buckle, and you.
All right.
One Glow Lock free in specially marked packages.
The fun is back, as you can see, with the 2600 from Atari. Still under $50, but wait, there's more. There's a stack of new games at your video store. In real sports boxing, the action's rough. If you're gonna make it, you got to be tough. Midnight Magic is an arcade blast. Like a pinball wizard, you got to be fast. Fire Solaris to protect your base, then blast off into hyperspace. The fun is back, oh yes sirree. New 2600 games from Atari.
New fairy tales. Once upon a rainbow tree, a fairy gave these lovely birds happy ending fantasies. Now fairy tales have tropical friends, Hawaiian colors and rainbow ends. Tropical tales, so bright, so fun. Fairy tales from the land of the sun. Tropical tales, new fairy tales, tropical tales, sold separately from Hasbro. Land of the sun. Mapletown and me. Special delivery. A wedding invitation. Let's go.
Now, Papa Rabbit, Mrs. Cat, and Sheriff Bulldog come with their own vehicles, each set sold separately.
Slow down, Baker. I'll be late delivering the wedding cake. Know how to get there? Piece of cake.
Living each day, we laugh and we play. My favorite place to be, Mapletown and me.
Sheriff Bulldog, Mrs. Cat, Papa Rabbit, and Nurse Dog come with their own special vehicle, new from Tonka.
Welcome, everyone. I hope everybody's having a fantastic weekend so far. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this has been on my mind the entire trial. Okay, we've been discussing the Letecia Stauch trial regarding the murder of Gannon Stauch. Okay. Now, the entire trial, I'm listening to certain things, and every once in a while, as the trial goes on, I keep asking myself, I keep saying, why hasn't this been brought up? And it's been kind of loosely brought up, but really brushed off. But only, excuse me, only when the Dr. Torres, the forensic psychologist who evaluated Letecia, along with Dr. Gray, but Dr. Torres is the one who testified. And I was pretty, as far as that goes, once in a while, they would equate some behavior to maybe a little drug abuse, possibly drug abuse being one of the things, but not really. I think they mentioned it maybe once or twice. But me personally, I keep thinking over and over and over and over again, why hasn't this subject been brought up? Because I'm seeing behavior that seems consistent with someone who would be doing drugs. I am personally of the opinion, now, I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a law enforcement investigator of any kind. But I've been around people. Let's just say I've been around people who fit this kind of behavior, not killing an 11-year-old child, but I find myself asking this question quite a bit through the trial. And then I was in Alex Erickson's chat earlier today, and she was discussing it. And she had a couple of people on panel with her, and they were discussing the trial. They were discussing the case, and it was interesting. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm right, laughing stock. This is just something to explore. This is just a topic of discussion that has not been brought up yet, to my knowledge. Not really, not very well explored. And I honestly don't know how how much we can explore it. But they were talking about certain things, and then I was just like, man, I wish that there would have been more to touch on here. And the question that I keep asking is, could drugs be an explanation for a lot of Letecia's erratic behavior? Now, there were certain things that I just didn't add up and I didn't put together. Some things that I'm just like, why didn't I connect that? And I kind of did, but I just didn't, think it through enough. But let's talk about, first of all, her erratic behavior. Just the fact that she lies to the point to where she actually has the audacity to think that someone would believe these lies. These lies that she comes up with are so outrageous that it just doesn't seem to make sense that someone who can conduct herself in everyday life would actually think that these lies are believable in some way, which makes her seem to me delusional. But at the same time, the delusional to the point to where she would act out so aggressively to where she would kill a child and think that she would get away with it. That's one thing, but she's not so delusional to the point to where she doesn't know that what she did was wrong, or else she wouldn't lie about it. It's not the fact that she lies as much as she does. Any shitty person, any self-serving human being who seems to have a complete lack of empathy for anyone else or any concern for anyone else's needs but their own, first of all, that is definitely right there a symptom of somebody who is heavily addicted to an addictive narcotic. That's just basic behavior right there. Welcome to Logic, Patricia Foster. Thank you so much. And I started to really think about this today, and then I really started to kind of put it together. We heard early on in the trial when Al was on the stand and they were playing recorded conversations between the two of them. Those recorded conversations, at one point, Al says, "This is just like when you stole $8,000 or $9,000 from me." She never had an explanation for it. She just, I guess he just forgave her for it, or we just don't know. They never got into why that happened. They never got into what became of that. They never got into what she spent the money on. They never got into what the money was for. They never got into any of the details, just that she stole the money and then lied about it and then tried to manipulate Al into making it about her, like you're attacking me and you don't want to be with me and you don't love me anymore and blah, 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 blah. And I started to wonder, okay, if it's drugs, what kind of drugs? And I mean, to steal $8,000 or $9,000 and then not have anything to show for it, because to our knowledge, we don't know. I haven't seen anything that they've discussed that the money went to. And more importantly, law enforcement has never, it was never brought up. The prosecution has never brought it up. And I feel like that would be an interesting factor. And either they know that she was using drugs, three options. Either they know that she was using drugs and feel that for some reason bringing that up might help with the defense's case, or they didn't know that she was using drugs, or she just wasn't using drugs. So one of those three options. Hotel rooms, gas, food, new clothing, dog food. Are you kidding? Is that supposed to be funny? No. We're talking about this incident took place long before Gannon went missing, as far as I understand, unless I'm misunderstanding something. Unless I'm forgetting something, unless there's something that I'm missing, because I do that sometimes. I mean, I'm not trying to deny that. I do that sometimes, and sometimes, I miss a little detail, and then, for all we know, we're sitting here for no fucking reason. That's what we're here to find out. So she took it when she left for Florida. Are we sure about that? Because I mean, are we sure about that? Because first of all, I mean, $8,000 or $9,000, from what I understand, she didn't have when she. How could she have stolen that money? Because I don't think that that's correct. You're sure about that, but you're the only one in chat that's sure about this. And then $2,600 from Harley too. See, I got the impression that it happened a while before as well. That's how, right. So she took $2,000 from Al when she left. Right? Because, I mean, why was she complaining about not having any clothes or any place to go or anything like that when she left the house and didn't have any money? So if she stole the money, then why was she complaining about not having any money? So she took $1,500. See, I'm getting a lot of different answers here. She took $1,500 after Gannon. And then somebody else is saying $2,000 when they left. So the $8,000 or $9,000, people seem to be pretty okay. So the confusion here is the amount of money and when it was taken. So apparently, because I know I heard Al say this is the same thing you tried pulling back before when you stole $8,000 or $9,000 from me, right? So where did that money go, and what was that money for? And that money never came up. So I'm of the belief, until I'm proven wrong some way, it was $2,000 from Al and $2,600 from Harley's account. Okay, but he said that she took $8,000 or $9,000 from him before. Yeah, money was taken $8,000 or $9,000 before Gannon. Right. That's what I'm saying. Okay, I'm not crazy because I've been watching the same trial you guys have been watching. So what's this money for? You know what I mean? There's no way, I don't think, having the kids there, she could have traveled without being noticed. You know what I mean? She would have either had to have taken the kids with her, or and then she took some after. Okay, so everyone's right here is what it seems like in the chat, that everyone's right. So it just turns out that she took more than I thought that she took. So Yes, this is why I love having a chat. Thank you, Banjo Lady. Because there's a lot there's a lot of information, man. I mean, it's not even information. You don't know what to log into the old brain when you're listening to Letecia talk, because 99% of everything that she says is a lie. So, and she was selling stuff on Poshmark, you're saying. Okay. So, that's just one aspect. Okay, we could sit here and try to figure out. The fact is that she stole money. She stole money from Al long before Gannon went missing, from my understanding. And you guys are also saying that she stole money from Harley and she stole money from Al after the fact when she tried to run. So now I'm looking at some of the stuff here because I'm thinking crack. I'm thinking crack because it's so addictive, and I've seen people just blow insane amounts of money, and I'm talking in a weekend, on crack and everything that goes with it. Crack, fucking alcohol, pills, everything that goes with it. Chances are, if you know a crack dealer, you know that dealer is selling more than just crack. Chances are. So I'm of the opinion that she was probably doing that at some point, but I'm leaning more towards meth, only because it's a more popular drug and her behavior seems to be more consistent with that of a meth head. I don't know if you guys have ever met a meth head. Luckily, that's after my time of of let's say shall we say integrating with certain types of people who do certain things that I no longer would ever partake in. So now, okay. See, Lisa Hunt is saying her skin was good and her and she was muscular and athletic. I never saw any pictures of Letecia showing her skin. So I don't know if that's true. I don't think that she was muscular. She didn't seem to have very good posture. To say that she's athletic, she claims to be athletic. She says that she's athletic, but I haven't seen anything to indicate that she was actually athletic. Now, just because you don't have bad skin or you don't have bad teeth, it doesn't mean that you don't indulge in the things that could make your skin bad or give you bad teeth. There are lots of people who manage to maintain their looks. Lots of people who manage to maintain their looks and still have drug habits that can absolutely damage their looks. They just manage to be able to maintain their looks somehow. But we do know that she had poor hygiene. That's something that we know of. Let's just go over some of the symptoms and signs of a user of meth. Seeing as that's the most likely drug. Now, here we go. So this states cumulative brain changes resulting in confusion, memory loss, and impaired verbal learning. Okay? Reduced coordination, insomnia, changes in mood, violent behavior, chronic anxiety, paranoia. All right, so the changes in mood is something that Harley very much, she actually testified to, right? Sorry, I can't really see chat right now. What's up, Allie? So I don't know anything about reduced coordination. Insomnia, I mean, she did wake up at 4 a.m. to text her boss, right? That text happened at like 4 something in the morning, to text her boss to say that she wasn't coming in. But also, we believe Gannon to have been dead at that time, or she had planned on killing Gannon that day. But if she called in that Monday and Gannon was seen on camera getting into Al's truck with Letecia that Monday morning, then she wasn't up all night cleaning and covering up a murder. The murder hadn't happened yet. So she texts her boss with this story that her stepfather died in an accident. This happened at like 4 something in the morning. Why would you text your boss at 4 something in the morning? Insomnia. So, I mean, yeah, changes in mood. Harley testified that that was a thing with her. Violent behavior. Well, she murdered Gannon. She admitted to murdering Gannon. Chronic anxiety. This is somebody who, now, from what we've seen, is somebody with chronic anxiety. And let's not forget that she was constantly on Facebook posting, responding to comments, texting with God knows who all the time. So these things, you know, there's signs of these things so far. Paranoia. Okay. Hallucinations. Now, the paranoia, obviously, that could just be fear of getting caught for murder, right? The hallucinations, though, she kind of describes having them. According to her, she has these hallucinations, right? And even when she's sitting there describing a lot of the stuff that she's talking about, she's, you know what I mean? Like when she's describing this stuff, I'm sitting there thinking like, well, that just sounds like drugs. To me, that just sounds like somebody on drugs. But nobody's saying it. Now, extreme weight loss. Now, again, I would not call her athletic. I would not refer to her as athletic. But there is one specific type of person who generally gains weight after they go to jail for an extended period of time, because most people actually lose weight. The reason why they lose weight is because they don't get fed very well there. Now they have junk food, but the chances of you being able to eat an abundance of junk food in jail, unless you are a very dominant person who knows how to take care of yourself pretty well, and I'll give Letecia the benefit of the doubt, she probably does. But I don't personally imagine her running the jail. I imagine her buddying with somebody who nobody really messes with, maybe, in order to stay safe, and talks their ear off the whole time they're in jail. But I'm not, yeah, they are carb loaded, yes, but I'm just not, the majority of people that I know of that go to jail, that have gone to jail for an extended period of time, they end up losing weight. They end up coming out skinnier, more malnourished, as opposed to actually looking healthier and gaining weight. Usually the people who look healthier and have gained weight are people who went in as addicts and then came out because there were no drugs to do while they were in jail. And I'm not saying you can't get drugs in jail. You can absolutely get drugs in jail, but not if you don't have any money or you don't have anything to offer. Basically money. Like you're not going to, you're usually not going to trade. I don't know if you've ever seen 60 Days In, but they usually don't let you trade anything for drugs. If you've ever seen Oz, they don't let you trade for drugs. Okay, so she has 1 hour outside to take a shower, phone calls, exercise. Okay? So she has an hour to make phone calls and an hour to all in an hour. Okay? You're not, first of all, you're not going to gain weight if you're exercising. You're not going to do it. I don't see her, eating very small amounts of food in jail. I don't see her eating small amounts of food in jail, even though she's getting 3 hots. It's not a lot of portion. You know what I mean? It's just what you need so you don't starve. There's a budget. So I'm just not, yeah. She went into jail skinny, came out, had gained weight. And she hasn't come out. But when she showed up to court, she gained weight. She clearly gained weight. It was the first thing that we all noticed in my chat. We were like, she's gained weight. Look at her. And right there, I thought for a second, was she on drugs before she went into jail? It's the only reason I can think of why somebody would gain weight in jail. Never seen that before, unless it was somebody who detoxed off of drugs when they went in. It's the only way I've seen it. Severe heart problems, e.g., chronic, systemic and pulmonary hypertension, cardiomyopathy, increased chance of aortic dissection and myocardial infarction, skin abscesses and damaged blood vessels from injection use. She probably didn't shoot it. Severe dental problems such as gum disease and tooth decay. I have not seen her teeth. Her back was turned when her back was turned. Now, her skin didn't look bad. In her mugshot, she did not look bad, but she's not showing her teeth. So I don't know how bad her teeth was. Her teeth were, sorry. So meth is very addictive. Use increases the activity of several neurotransmitters, including dopamine, a brain chemical important for motivation and the reinforcement of rewarding behaviors. Meth's quick release of significant amounts of dopamine in our brain's reward centers reinforces drug-taking behaviors. Also, as previously mentioned, individuals who smoke or inject meth experience a surge of euphoria that fades quickly even before the drug reaches the bloodstream. Thus, these individuals often use meth in a binge and crash pattern, meaning they try to maintain the high by taking more of the drug. In some cases, they may forego sleeping and eating while continuing to take meth for several consecutive days. This is known as a run. In 2021, now this is the year following Gannon's murder. She's already in jail at this point, but in 2021, 2.5 million Americans aged 12 or older reported using meth. That's 2.5 million Americans. The same year, 1.6 million individuals aged 12 or older had a diagnosable methamphetamine use disorder. So, let me see something else here. Um, all right, so here is now. When was this published? This doesn't say when it was published. Sorry about that. So I don't know how old this is, but it says here Colorado Springs, Colorado substance abuse statistics. Colorado Springs is the second most populous city in the state, and the metro area has the population of almost 700,000, which includes both El Paso County and Teller counties. Every year, a little over 10,000 people in the area will check into drug rehab. In 2014, there were 416 arrests for methamphetamine possession in Colorado Springs. That is double the number from 2010. Okay. Wow. So that's all the way back to 2014. 416 arrests just in Colorado Springs. And then that number doubled in 2010. So imagine what that number was like once it hit 2020. You see what I'm saying? Now, the Colorado Springs metropolitan statistical area has about 12% of the state's population, but nearly 15% of its fatal heroin overdoses. Wow. Over 40% of automobile deaths in El Paso County are alcohol related. In El Paso County, approximately 13% of residents engaged in binge drinking within the past 30 days, including high school students. This number, 16% in Teller County. Yeah, so this is just about. So that's just the substance abuse statistics. So 400. This is what's really important here. So 416 arrests for meth possession in Colorado Springs in 2014. 416 arrests just in 2014. And then that number doubled. That number doubled from I'm stupid. That number doubled from 2010. So in 2010, 4 years earlier, it was only half of that. And then let's see what it was like in 2020. All right, this is about opioid. That's not what I need. That's the overdoses. Reports and data tables. Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding that. Let me try something else here. Okay. Yeah, this is only 2018. So methamphetamine is a huge problem in the Rocky Mountains. In fact, that it's a bigger issue than the opioids like heroin and fentanyl. According to an article by NPR, crystal meth was involved in nearly 300 overdose deaths in 2018. Some of the victims' autopsies showed that meth was used in combination with opioids. In other instances, meth was the only substance found. But while it may not have killed as many folks as heroin and prescription opioids, crystal meth costs property owners a lot of money. After all, it's usually created in homemade labs. This smoke often stains the exteriors of the building, creating an eyesore that's hard to fix. And it's still illegal. Of course, it's still illegal. Yeah, that's all they say about meth there, as far as overdoses. But so there's clearly, basically, my point of looking that up and exploring that was meth is clearly a problem in Colorado Springs. And here Al is leaving town quite a bit. He doesn't really know what's going on. She fits the model for drug-seeking behavior. This is a woman who it has been pretty much confirmed that she was a victim of abuse growing up, and her mother was a victim of abuse. So she grew up in an abusive household. And this right there is already a model for drug-seeking behavior. So I'm of the opinion, personally, that Letecia liked to party while Al was gone. That's what I think. Now, okay, see, so Lisa Hunt is saying, I think if she was a druggie, Al's Vicodin wouldn't have sat so long on his dresser. That's not necessarily true, because methamphetamine is a stimulant, Vicodin is an opioid, it's a downer. So that's not her thing. See, me, back when I used to like to party a lot, back in my 20s, I was a coke guy. I grew up in Miami. I liked cocaine. I did not like pills. People offered me pills. If I took pills, it was because I needed to come down. But I did not like the high. I did not enjoy it. So usually people are either an upper or a downer person. It's not necessarily just because there happens to be drugs. And right, some people like both. And I'm not canceling that out. But to sit here and say that why would there still be Vicodin in the house and sitting there for as long as it did? Maybe she didn't like Vicodin. Maybe she found other ways, other means of getting high and enjoying herself. So I'm of the opinion that because to me, this is the only logical, the only logical explanation. I don't think that she was never consistent in this erratic behavior that we saw displayed. Al testified to this. Harley testified to this. This came and went. There were times Harley said that she was also very attentive as a mother. And then other times she didn't even want to be bothered. She would disappear. Sometimes even sit in a closet for hours. Now, what is she doing in that closet? Do you think that she's just sitting in that closet feeling sorry for herself? Because to me, that sounds far-fetched. This doesn't match her behavior. Someone who's just going to run and hide and sit in a closet and hide from her kids. I'm of the opinion, no, DID, get the fuck out of here. It's already been proven that she doesn't have DID. Lisa Hunt, you're starting to get on my fucking nerves, if I'm being totally honest. Because now that you said, now I'm all for some open discussion here, but two forensic psychologists have already said that she does not have DID. So it's just that simple. So we're not going to come in here and start spreading misinformation. As far as I'm concerned, as far as anybody who's been following this case is concerned and is interested in facts, she does not have DID. Now, I do understand that there is a expert on DID who's going to come and testify for the defense. I am not denying that, and I'm not trying to dismiss that. But there is 3 different, even though one of them shit the bed totally while they were on the stand, but there were 3 different people evaluated her for sanity, and none of them came to the conclusion that she had DID. As a matter of fact, they came to the conclusion that she did not. So we're not going to continue to perpetuate anything that even resembles an excuse for this woman's behavior. Okay, borderline personality disorder, sure. Borderline personality disorder is something that I do agree with as well. But I am of the opinion that there is behavior of drug abuse in this as well. Now, just because it doesn't have to be one or the other that somebody has borderline personality disorder. Right. And DID, it's extremely rare. I just don't see it. We all happen to know, all of us who have followed this case for the last 3 years know that this woman has done everything that she can. We saw and heard evidence of her doing everything that she can to stall and to avoid accountability in every way possible. Okay, well, great, Lisa Hunt. I'm sorry that you have DID, but the fact of the matter is, you're a very rare case. And honestly, the chances of you having DID in my chat and Letecia Stauch having DID is they're astronomical. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, you have DID. I'm sorry you have DID, but I don't believe that Letecia Stauch has DID. Sorry. So just because you have DID, it doesn't mean that she has DID. And the fact that experts have already testified that she does not have DID, and all of her behavior indicates that all of a sudden she uses the DID excuse when she gets new lawyers, and her behavior changes once she gets new lawyers, and the method in which she starts to conduct herself in these tests for insanity change once she gets new lawyers. I'm going to say she's full of shit. I'm going to say she's feigning, as they put it in the trial. So, and I don't believe drug abuse to be an excuse either. I'm saying it explains a lot of her behavior, in my personal opinion. Right. And it's obvious she was trying to get diagnosed with it. You know, that's what I'm saying is at this point, I am not going to entertain the bullshit DID excuse. At this point, there's no way I'm going to do it once I've already heard 3 different mental health experts shoot it down. So I'm just not going to do it. I know that there's one mental health expert that the defense is going to call up and testify as to why she may have it. But yeah, I'm calling bullshit. I'm saying that she simply, a lot of her behavior matches someone who uses drugs, who uses stimulants, whether it be cocaine or whether it be meth. Those are very, very similar symptoms, very, very similar behaviors. Now, the fact that she's hiding in a closet, I've personally known people who would actually hide in their closet to not be seen using drugs for hours at a time from their families. They were intervened because of this. Because at some point somebody would say, what the fuck are you doing in the closet for hours at a time? We're worried about you. But her child is not going to do that, especially when she's afraid of even talking back to her mother because she might get backhanded. So she testifies that she sees her mother. Sometimes she's mother of the year, and then other times she's completely and totally disengaged. And she even hides in the closet for hours and hours on end. So that to me is it's very consistent with other stories that I've heard of users. That's all I'm saying as far as that goes. Now, other things that bothered me, because I every time I heard that recording, okay, every time that I listened to that recording of her talking to Gannon, talking about having to sell the couch, and Gannon is just crying. He sounds to me, he sounds more confused. He sounds more scared out of confusion. He sounds scared because he's confused. He doesn't know what the right thing is to say. And he's going, okay, okay, and crying as she's coaching him on what to do and say. So what I got out of that was a scared kid who just doesn't understand why this adult in his life is behaving in this manner. To me, it was very, very strange. Now, the whole candle thing has always bugged me. I just don't believe the story of the candle. I don't believe the story of the candle at all. And here's another thing. Now, I realize also, because the drug subject has never come up, right? Now, some people might be saying, well, what if she was on drugs, then why didn't law enforcement find any evidence of drugs in the house? Now, I don't know about you, but the paranoia that comes with using a drug that causes paranoia, the nature of it, most of the time is, I don't want anybody to find out that I'm using this drug. The fear and the shame and everything of being a crackhead or a cokehead or a meth head, that is the fear of having to face that shame is one of the things that you're most paranoid about. So I'm thinking that she cleaned that up before she cleaned any of the blood up, that she probably had a designated area and a hiding spot where she kept her drugs and paraphernalia to use those drugs. And mental issues can cause paranoia. I'm not denying that. We're just exploring here, folks. I'm not canceling out anything else. I'm not even saying that Letecia did drugs. I'm saying that I think that a lot of her behavior can be attributed to somebody who with drug-seeking behavior and somebody who is actually on drugs. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Because again, where is this money going? Is she giving it to a man that she's seeing? That's a possibility. But what kind of man is she seeing? You know what I mean? What type of dude? The way that Letecia talks, she is an educator, right? She's got a PhD in education, supposedly, right? But she still got legitimate jobs and hired. So somebody had to do some vetting of her education to some degree to be able to hire her to work with kids and educate them, right or wrong. So why is somebody who is so educated and even educated when it comes to educating children, why is it that she is so adamant about getting people to understand who she is and give her credit for being an upstanding, basically a soccer mom type, right? An upstanding soccer mom type, suburban housewife, but not a housewife, also an educator, right? Someone who educates children. So to me, I'm wondering, like, why is somebody with this education who takes pride in being an educator to children, why does she purposely speak with a very, very limited vocabulary and a very urban vocabulary? She seems to have a very, very urban country type of way of speaking that is not very, that does not, it's not very, it doesn't mesh well with somebody who would be of the education that she claims to have, is all I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying it's because she's not educated. I'm saying she chooses to not sound educated. She chooses deliberately to sound uneducated. Why? Who is she trying to impress? What type of element is she hanging around when Al isn't around trying to impress? Right? So I've known people, and I'm telling you, I've known people who had a serious drug addiction, a very intense, serious drug addiction, and no one knew about it for years, simply because on the surface, they seem to have everything together. Because most of us, what we look for is, well, is she married, settled down, a mom? She's got a good job in a school, couple of cars in the driveway. You're not going to think that this person's on drugs. You know what I mean? But I'm just, to me, there's so much about her that doesn't add up. And just being a liar, to me, just isn't enough. It's not, you know, it just, it doesn't add up. To see how she was able to function at a job or then lose her job, why would she go and get a job as an educator and then get fired for not showing up? Why did she not show up? Why does she just disappear? All of these things are consistent with somebody with a drug addiction. Well, that's what I'm saying. No, and I understand. I've known people who lie like that a lot too. But most of the people that I've known in my life that lie like that weren't children, were fucking drug addicts. Because it doesn't make sense that somebody would have all of this, all of her shit together. Because Al is not, he's not a dumb guy. He seems to have some street smarts. He just seems to have a certain threshold for the things that he's willing to put up with from a significant other. That's the only thing. The only thing that makes me go, man, what the fuck is wrong with Al, is why he was able to put up with her. But that right there tells me that she wasn't always like that. It was something that would just pop up once in a while. But it seemed to happen for days. For days she'd be fine, and then for days she would be a total mess. Speaking erratically, money disappearing. Now, another thing that I found interesting was when she's on the phone with Al or in the interview with Detective Bethel, she's on the phone with Al or in the interview with Detective Bethel, her behavior and demeanor is significantly different than when she's in prison talking about her mental health with a psychologist. Now, is she just telling stories and going all over the place? Sure. But she's not nearly as bad as what she is doing when she's talking to Al or when she's talking to Detective Bethel. And the Googling. See, that's the thing is I'm not going to sit here and entertain the mental health issue, because I feel like if certain things that she's doing, it just doesn't add up. Like the Google searches, those were those were that of a completely and totally insane person. But yeah, and yeah, she's severely mentally damaged. But I'm not saying I don't know, man. Too much is consistent with the drugs. Where did all the money go? What was the money for? Yeah, no, of course she's still lying. She wants to get away with murder. I'm not saying that the lying is a symptom of drug use. I mean, it usually is, but I'm saying the lying the lying is yeah, it's consistent with drug use, sure, but it's also, you know, her just trying to get away with murder, because again, the nature of the stories that she's telling, right? The nature of the stories that she's telling. Dietz, let me see what Dietz is saying. So because the mental health behavior is erratic, you're thinking sporadic drug use. Is that what I'm understanding you say? No, not necessarily. I'm saying that could be part of it, but I'm not saying that the erratic behavior is due to the drugs. I'm saying the drugs sure shit didn't help, but I just don't see someone. I don't see someone being sober and thinking that anybody can anybody is going to believe the insane lies that she comes up with, the insane crazy stories that she comes up with. I'm just not seeing that. Like, and the fact that she feels the need to lie cancels out the it's really hard for me to explain. God, man, this is really difficult. The nature of her lies are so out there, right? But the reason why she's lying, she stays steadfast. She's sane enough to maintain the lying, right? But I don't think that someone with enough sense to maintain those kind of lies, or sorry, to maintain the constant lying in order to avoid accountability for something, I just don't see those actual lies that she told being consistent with that level of awareness. Those lies are so fucking crazy. I feel like you have to fucking be on drugs to think that somebody's going to believe them. Otherwise, the nature of those lies to me are so crazy that she probably would not be able to consistently lie the way that she did. She would break down at some point. She had an out. Like, here she is when she was, well, I have met someone with narcissistic personality disorder before, sure. But the thing is those I've never met anybody tell stories like that unless they were on drugs. You know what I mean? That's the only thing. There's no, and to even think that anyone would believe them, I just don't see that being consistent with someone who is aware of what the consequences are that she would be facing, and to be aware enough to lie about them so consistently and so steadfastly, like an oak can never ever like stray from deception and always be deceiving. And that's the thing, Erica Fox. I don't think she was drug tested, because here's the thing is, I think that she probably had a very, if she was using drugs in the house, hear me out. This is all hypothetical, people. I'm just brainstorming here. That's all this live is about. We're just speculating and brainstorming. I don't know. But I do have somewhat of a theory, but that I'll share with you later. But I'm just kind of thinking out loud here and exploring this with you. I'm even going to take phone calls at some point, and we can discuss it. But I feel like she had a, like, right. Murdoch told those lies, and he held steadfast for them. But Murdoch was a proven drug addict, right? He was a drug addict, wasn't he? So he's a bad example, in my opinion. That's an interesting point too, KB. I do think was taking ADH meds. She was all hyperacting and talking. Plus, she was a lot smaller. But since in jail, she put on weight. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I never see anybody go to jail and put on weight unless they were getting off drugs. You see what I'm saying? Now, you're talking about ADHD medication, and the reason why I highlighted your comment, your question, that's an interesting thing to explore, because, like, if you ever take Adderall is almost the same effects as meth or cocaine, right? Adderall is given to hyperactive people, ADHD. Adderall and Ritalin are given to, Ritalin is generally given to hyperactive children. At least when I was a kid, I had to take Ritalin as a kid because I am heavily ADHD. If you can't tell, just by the way that I'm talking, I am heavily ADHD. But the thing is what happens is, it's like if you have a hyperactive kid, right? A doctor will tell you, a doctor who doesn't like to prescribe too many drugs will tell you to give your kid a cup of coffee. That's what they'll tell you to do. If you have a hyperactive child, the doctor will tell you to give your kid a cup of coffee so that it'll calm your kid down. Whereas people who are not ADHD or hyperactive, if they drink coffee, what does it do? It jacks them up. It gives them energy, right? Now, you still get the same heart rate, but the behavior, it calms you down. Like, I was never one of those people that, like, when I did cocaine, I would not be like this. I can't do cocaine. Like, if I ever went live on cocaine, you guys would know it like in a second, because I would just be, I wouldn't be able to talk. I would be skittish about everything. It's not fun for me. It's not fun. I merely did it because it was an addiction. And sometimes I was lively because if you drink with it, you get a nice little balance out. It's fun. But I grew out of that a long time ago because overall it just became an addiction and it was no longer fun. And I was no fun around it. I was no fun on it. You know what I mean? It had the opposite effect on me as it had on everyone else in the room because everybody else was talkative and having fun, right? But me, I would shut down and people would be like, "Are you okay?" And I'd be like, yeah, I'm just listening, you know? Like I can drink coffee and coffee's going to keep me awake because I like coffee, but it's not going to make me hyper. You know, it's not going to make me hyper. So ADHD medication is absolutely a possibility for sure. For sure. But that doesn't explain all of the money that went missing. It wouldn't explain why she's stealing money by the thousands and not having anything to show for it. Because some people have a shopping addiction. I get that. You know what I mean? You fuck. I leave town and then I come back and there's fucking $9,000 missing from my account. Well, fuck, you know, I bought a bunch of shoes. You know what I mean? But here she is. All this money's gone. No answers, nothing to show for it. And that's it. You know what I mean? And I found another thing interesting when she was talking to the psychologist. Okay? When she was talking to the psychologist, she was telling them that she was behind Al's back, helping Landon to get custody of the kids. And Al ended up winning custody of the kids, but she was friends with Landon. And I'm not trying to trash talk Landon. I'm not. But she likes to say that Landon did a bunch of bad things and was involved with bad people, but she was buddies with Landon. And then all of a sudden, Al cheats on Landon with Letecia, right? And I wouldn't even be bringing this up if it didn't pertain to the drug theory. Okay. So if Landon's dating a guy that is involved with shady things such as drugs or whatnot, according to Letecia, and we have to take that beyond with a grain of salt because Letecia lies constantly. We know this. So, but let's just entertain that idea for a second. So let's just say that this guy that Landon decided to be with turns out to be a drug addict, and or you know, a drug dealer or whatever, right? And then Letecia decides that Letecia's hanging out with her for whatever reason, that maybe that's something that they had in common. And then she ends up marrying Al because she thinks that Al is a very easygoing guy that she can get a lot over on because he wants to avoid fighting. And yet she never dropped her addiction. But why is she helping Landon try to get the kids back behind Al's back while trash talking Landon and saying that Landon is a horrible person and she's the one taking care of the kids because Landon is such a druggy piece of shit, right? Why is she? So now personally, I'm of the opinion that just goes more towards motive. This is a little off the drug subject, but that goes more towards motive. If she was trying to help Landon get these kids back, get Gannon and Lena back behind Al's back, that means she didn't want kids in her life. She didn't want those kids in her life. That would be the only reason why she would betray her husband, go behind his back, and sabotage the one thing for him that is the most precious to him. The most important thing that he has going on is this custody fight with his ex for his kids because he feels he could provide a more stable environment for them, right? So But if Landon is this unfit mother, right? And Letecia hung out with her all this time. And yet she's trying to help Al, or she's trying to help Landon get the kids from Al behind his back. Wouldn't that make sense that she's on drugs at the time for this? I mean, wouldn't that make some sense? I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying because of that, you can't cancel it out. It adds up. I'm not saying that's it. I'm just saying it kind of adds up. You know what I mean? It can't be dismissed. So here's my theory. Okay? My theory, because there still hasn't been a motive. A lot of people are thinking, well, okay, so they went on this hike. And maybe she was planning on doing something there, changed her mind. Originally, this was my theory that she planned on doing something to Gannon on the hike, but there were too many people around, and then she decided that wasn't the right time to do anything. Now, let's get into something else. Why would she try to pin drug use on Gannon? Why would she try to pin drug use on an 11-year-old boy? Why would she think that anybody would believe that Gannon is experimenting with drugs at 11 years old? Lisa Hunt, you're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Why would she think that anyone would believe that an 11-year-old boy is experimenting with drugs and curious about drugs? See, to me, that doesn't make sense. Someone who has experience in educating kids, why does she think that anybody would believe this about Gannon, who's a good student? He's a good kid, did everything right, was into the most innocent things that a kid could be into. You know what I mean? Why would she plant, because I believe she did this, why would she plant Swisher Sweets, cigars, cigarillos in Gannon's backpack? Why would she send a text to Al from Gannon's phone asking about bath salts? Unless she was trying to set something up. So here's my theory. If we're entertaining the idea of drugs. Now, before I get into that, let's also explore why drugs have not come up, right? Maybe, like I said, they never found drugs or any reason. Maybe her using drugs was completely irrelevant, but I don't see how that would be irrelevant to the prosecution's case. I feel like that would help the prosecution's case, but there might be a reason why they probably shouldn't bring it up, because maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some reason, some way that the defense could use that in some manner to strengthen their defense. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand that, but I'm of the opinion that they just never looked for it. I think that maybe they asked her about it, and then she said, no, never. And then they just let it go because they were just way too focused on Gannon. Because obviously when she says that somebody came into the house and raped her, and then another story where somebody kidnapped Gannon off the road because he crashed his bike, right? All of these different things, that is going to make law enforcement go, well, do you use drugs? And do you owe anybody money? Things of that nature. She's going to be like, no, 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 no. And then they're just going to dismiss the drug thing because it turns out that the stories are completely fabricated and bullshit. So they're not going to look for any drug use, right? And I'm wondering, and she was fired from South Carolina. I understand. She was fired in South Carolina from her teaching job. I'm aware of that. No, I don't know about that, Sherry. I disagree. Leah Giovanni, thank you so much. Always here, but never chat. You're a good man, Will. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. They probably just don't have enough evidence of it, because here's the thing. By the time she went to the hospital, right? That was on the 29th. She was, I don't know if she was tested for drugs, right? Was it the 28th or the 29th that she showed up for the interview with Detective Bethel? When they asked for Gannon's hair, or they asked for his toothbrush, sorry. And then she ended up going with the wet Tiguan to the police station. So, right, the 29th, and they never got around to taking a drug test, right? So I'm of the opinion that maybe law enforcement suspected drugs. I'm just entertaining the possibility that maybe law enforcement suspected drugs, but there was no way that they could prove it. By the time they would have been able to administer a drug test, it would have been out of her system, unless they did a hair follicle test or even a blood test, maybe. But a urinalysis, a urine test is going to be, I think it's 72 hours that methamphetamine or cocaine leave your system. So it's probably possible that law enforcement could never prove that she was on drugs. But then again, they went through her phone. They seized her phone. They found her searches. So maybe they could have found, I mean, obviously she's going to talk to somebody to where she could buy drugs. But maybe the issue never came up. That's possible. But again, probably, maybe she was never on drugs. Like I said, we're just exploring here. We're just kind of speculating a little bit. Southern Mama, thank you so much. I would bet bank she was also having an affair. I would say that she was having multiple affairs. She really wanted attention. I would bet that she took very much advantage of whenever Al was out of town, because she always had a grass is greener attitude. I personally feel that way. I think that she was a trifling ass bitch the whole time she was with Al. I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat it. But she had multiple STDs. I missed that. Yeah, it's funny because even the FBI agent who interviewed her testified that he felt that she was trying to flirt with him. That she suggested that just the two of them go to North Carolina. And it was in a very flirty kind of way. Oh no, Boo Boo Kitty Meow. You can absolutely say cunt here. We say cunt here all the time. You can say cunt, twat. Cherry is very creative with her variations on the words cunt and twat. So and try to stop her. Good luck. So we just we just embrace the words here. So it's all good. If that offends you, anybody, sorry. It's not going to change. We're going to continue to use those words. Sorry, I'm looking at chat. Because this is more of a discussion here. Like we're just speculating a little bit here. So I'm interested in everyone's comments and questions as it goes. And that reminds me, like I don't really look at chat a lot when I'm live. I miss a lot. And I noticed that somebody, sorry, hold on a second. Okay. I noticed that somebody was in my chat yesterday because I later on I will go over I will go through my chat. I'll watch my chat and I'll see when people are being dickheads after the fact. And then if you just come back in and for some reason you can't comment, but I hide people very, very rarely, especially these days. But I like to go over my chat, make sure everybody's being okay and they're not doxing anybody or doing anything shitty. So I always like to go behind my mods and check and make sure everything's good. And Brandy Neal, Michael Monkey Vaughn's mom, was in my chat yesterday, and I did not notice, but it was very nice of her to stop in. Apparently, Harsh Reality did her some real dirt, and I guess she was interested in my coverage of him. But from what I understand, he took down those videos, and he's lucky I didn't get a hold of him. He's lucky I didn't. But anyway, moving on. That just made me, the fact that I was going over chat now made me think of that. But I'm just right now I'm looking at the just the overwhelming possibility, because like look, Jackie Garnett, thank you so much. So the doctors that evaluated her for mental disability didn't need a drug test to rule that out. Well, they tested her long after anything would be in her system. It would have been pointless to test her for drugs. Not necessarily. I mean, she could have been doing drugs in jail, and maybe they did test her, but I didn't hear any testimony saying that she tested positive or negative for drugs. So I don't know if they tested her for drugs while she was in jail. I just haven't heard anything about it, or I missed it. So here's a theory I'm just going to throw out there. Because I know a lot of us are trying to understand, why did she kill Gannon? Why Gannon, and why so violently, the way that she did? So the 26th is a Sunday. The 26th is a Sunday. They go on a hike, right? They come back, and for some odd reason, she feels the need to record Gannon later on that night, because apparently a candle, Gannon knocked over a candle. And so, but why is Gannon crying the way that he is? In that, if it was just an accident and it wasn't a big deal, why is she making a big deal out of it? Right? And I know a lot of people are probably going to say, because she's a fucking useless piece. She's a mean piece of shit. And I don't think she'll ever admit to the drug use. No, But I don't even know that she did use drugs. She could just be an asshole. I'm just saying it makes sense that she would use drugs. A lot of things add up to someone using drugs in her position. It's all I'm saying. But what if Gannon what if Gannon caught her doing something she wasn't supposed to do? Maybe cheating and having an affair. That's a possibility. But let's explore whether it was drugs. What if Gannon what if Cherry's saying that the bath salt things, like she's saying, is legit, and he's looking for bath salts, right? And he texted Al asking for bath salts. Do we have any bath salts? Maybe he wanted to take a bath. I don't know. But let's just say while Gannon was looking for these bath salts, he's looking all over the house for bath salts. What if he found Letecia's stash? Right? And then asked her, what is this? You know? And then she panicked and freaked out. And she's high, and she says, and she starts building shit in her mind and creating a whole scenario to where if Al finds out, he's going to divorce her, blah, blah, blah. On top of that, just being like this fucking kid. He's a pain in my ass. He's always shitting his pants. And then he goes through our shit, and then he finds my stash, and then he's going to ruin what I got going on. Because if it gets out that I use meth or whatever the fuck it is, if it gets out, then there goes my teaching career. There goes my marriage. Me and Harley are out on the street. Harley's going to end up leaving me alone because she's about to turn 18. She's got a job. You know, I'm going to be put out. How's she going to look at me? Blah, 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 blah. Like, if you've managed to keep this a secret, and then this gets public somehow, this gets out, the people who you want least to find this out about you, find out, like, to them, that their world is crashing down. I mean, you don't know what makes her gain weight and what doesn't. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, who knows? I'm just saying, you know, there's people on psych meds, and you know, it doesn't necessarily make them gain weight. You know what I mean? I could see some psych meds maybe retaining some water or something like that, but I just don't see her in jail eating jail food and gaining as much weight as she did. I just don't see it. Yeah, and Harley was joining the armed forces. She was going to be fine. What if her motive was just to get to kill Gannon, to keep him quiet? I'm not saying she took the drugs to stay skinny, but I think that had a lot to do with why she was skinny. Like, I think there's a lot of things that are very telling about her. Like, why did she want to go out for sushi and just completely excluded Gannon from this whole thing, knowing that Gannon doesn't like sushi? Why was Gannon excluded from the whole, you know, what are we going to eat thing? So supposedly they went to Burger King because Gannon doesn't like sushi, right? But then again, maybe she just wanted, maybe they know Gannon didn't want sushi, and then they got sushi. And they're like, well, we're going to get Gannon something, but that's not going to stop us from eating sushi because we love sushi. So we're going to get Gannon some Burger King. Maybe that was it too. I'm just saying there's a lot of things between the money, between the sitting in a closet for hours at a time, between the house being smoky. What is the whole thing with the carpet? That's my whole thing, is like, why did the carpet get burned? And why were pieces of the carpet cut out and then just thrown in a trash can that had blood on it? Right? What if Gannon found her? Like, what if she was cooking cocaine to smoke crack? Because when you freebase cocaine, right, you'll get a big bag of cocaine. This is how it works. You get a big bag of cocaine and you got to get a spoon. And normally you just keep a candle lit, right? You keep a candle lit and then you put the cocaine, you put here's a little drug use 101 for you guys. You put the cocaine in there, you put a little water, you put a little baking soda in the spoon all together, and then you hold it over a candle and cook it, right? And it takes about 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Once it starts to sizzle, you put it down on whatever and it cools off. Once it cools off, it petrifies and then you smoke it. You put it in whatever smoking paraphernalia instrument that you have and you smoke it. That's what you do. But because it sounds like bullshit that she would have even, like, that Gannon wanted to light a candle while he's playing video games. What if Gannon caught her doing something with the candle? She panicked and hit him. He bled. She panicked over that because it left a mark. She's going to have to explain the mark. And then she's like, fuck. If somebody sees this mark on Gannon, then, that's it. What's going to end up happening is he could talk. He could say that I hit him. And he could say that I hit him because he caught me doing something that I was not supposed to be doing. Thank you so much, Calamity Jade. What was the whole we have to sell our most valuable blah, blah, blah over the carpet burn when weeks later she took thousands from Al when she ran? Right. I agree. That's too weird. Because again, in that recording, Gannon sounds extremely confused and afraid. He doesn't understand what the fuck is going on. But he sounded like he was crying from confusion, fear, usually brought on by an altercation that takes place between a parent and a child, and a lot of times where it's violent. Kid is freaked out. Nobody's probably ever hit him before, and he's freaking out for the fact that somebody fucking hit him, and he's scared shitless, and he wants to do everything he can to cover it up. So she purposely makes this recording going, hey, so we're going to do this and this and this so that we can get a new carpet, right? She's trying to make it seem like she's trying to calm him down and they're best friends, but he's fucking clearly afraid of her. And he's going, oh, okay. And it's heartbreaking. But he's clearly afraid of her. But what the fuck is the candle? Because there was a burn in the carpet, and this carpet, it's, the FBI agent thought that was suspicious, because the FBI guy was like, I've never heard of a candle starting a fire like that. Candle wax spilling doesn't start a fire. It just cools off immediately and then gets embedded into the carpet, and then you're just never getting that shit out. It ruins the carpet. It singes the carpet. So even if you scrub all the wax out, you've got some burnt carpet there. But it's not like on fire burnt carpet. So I don't know, man. The whole candle thing is what is the missing piece that I just can't add up. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. The candle story and why the candle was lit doesn't add up. The Swisher Sweets in his bag were clearly planted. And then I don't know. Cherry thinks that the bath salts thing is legit. I just don't see why the kid is asking for bath salts. I didn't even know bath salts were legitimately a thing until the guy who used the narcotic version of them ate somebody's face off. I'm sorry, Lane, that you had a candle explode. Is that one of Laura's? I heard stories about that. I've heard stories about that. I don't know if it's true or not, that she sells exploding candles. Sorry, that shit just makes me laugh when I think about it. He asked for a bath bomb or he asked for bath salts? I never heard of a bath bomb. Did I miss that too? Yeah, and I know he said that that he was burned. But I don't know. I mean, that's the thing is I just don't know if he was actually burned or not. He could have been referring to my burn as being the burn that he caused. You know, a kid like that, let's say he walked in on her doing something she wasn't supposed to be doing, and then she panics and knocks the thing down, and then she yells at him immediately and says, "Look what you did, look what you did, look what you did, look what you did, look what you did," even though he didn't do anything. By then, an 11-year-old kid who's empathetic and sweet and kind, who's doing everything that he can to try to make life easy for her, because according to her, even Gannon was always helpful to her. So the nature of him always wanting to be helpful, maybe he was just convinced as quickly as that it was his fault and he burned the carpet. No, Kiki Rose. The thing is that his body was too decomposed to be able to tell whether or not he had burns. So whether or not Gannon was burned, we don't know. We'll never know. So that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm wondering if he walked in on her doing something with it. Because why the fuck is he lighting candles? He's not lighting candles. It's not in his nature. You know what I mean? He's not lighting candles. He's not having friends over asking to push the bed togethers, pushing beds together. That's not happening. All of this is total bullshit coming from her. So it just doesn't add up to me. I don't know. So we're gonna do this douche swap style. All right. Call this number if you want to chat, call in. So if anybody's got theories or anything like that, you can call in. We'll see what's up. And I don't like opening panel. I prefer not to do that. See, that's what I'm wondering too. If the prosecution is just waiting till closing arguments to bring this up, because they have one more witness to call. Monday, they're calling another witness. I don't know who that witness is. But I mean, I'm a big fan of Occam's razor, man. The simplest explanation is usually the correct one. To me, drug use is the simplest explanation as to why why her lies are so fucking insane, but yet she knows the difference between right and wrong and knows, well, the prosecution's not calling Dr. Lewis. The defense is calling Dr. Lewis. Darlene Paul. Yeah, you're saying she said herself she's not. She said a lot of things. She said Gannon was fucking. She saw somebody in a cape and then shot him. So let's just entertain that bullshit story for a second. What if that bullshit story is a drug hallucination? What if she's paranoid? She sees Gannon pretending to wearing a cape, using a blanket, and then shoots him. Which I just don't believe. I believe that she planned what she was going to do to Gannon from the night before. Yes.
Hi. I'd like to remain anonymous.
Okay.
I think you're absolutely correct. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a girl or a woman.
Okay.
But I think you're on point with everybody I've known and not known, like Letecia. It seems logical.
Right. I mean, because I'm only speaking based on people that I've known, things that I can compare it to. You know what I mean?
Agree. And that's all we really can do. It's not
right.
Facts. It's just an assumption of our gut feelings of what we've all been through and observed.
Right. It's just what makes sense to me. That's all. I'm not saying that's it. And y'all are crazy if you think otherwise. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just presenting this theory and seeing how you guys feel about it.
I think it's a good theory. Right or wrong, I think it's a good theory. And it's a different twist to your normal shows. So I still think it's great.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you for calling too.
Of course. Have a good night.
You too. Well, that was cool. Could you guys hear her okay? If so, then I'll continue to take phone calls. Because I'd like to hear other theories, honestly. Or if you can elaborate more on that theory, you know, as I'd love to hear that as well. See, she was a Twilight fan, and yes, you guys can hear. That's great to hear. Thank you. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
So I think you are absolutely correct in the fact that she has an addiction. I'm not for sure if it's a drug addiction, but I completely agree with you that she has an addiction of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, she just it just fits. You know what I mean? Like
It does.
all of the erratic behavior, um, all of the erratic behavior seems to add up because she's still managing to maintain the need to lie and cover things up, but yet she's still her lies themselves are completely unbelievable, yet she's delusional enough to think that people are going to believe them. To me, that's
Because
consistent.
they're believable in her mind.
Right. To me, that's consistent with every fucking hardcore drug addict I've ever known in my life. You know, the kind of people that you look at and go, dude, you got a problem. Like,
yeah, you need to seek some help for this. I agree. But, and I've said this since day 2 of the trial because I knew very little before it, but I absolutely believe she has some type of narcissistic personality disorder. And there, that runs the gambit. But another thing that goes with that, a lot of narcissists, like clinical narcissists, do also suffer from addiction, like 60-some% do. And so I can, and a high percentage of that is, sorry, I don't typically say trigger words or censored words on other people's panels.
you're fine. Yeah, we don't.
Okay,
worry
but a
about
high
that here.
percentage of that is a sexual addictions too. So that kind of plays into what you were saying earlier. So I don't know if it was necessarily drugs. It could be some type of sexual addiction, some type of, it could be alcohol, even just, shopping, things like that. But I just about bet there was frequent addiction. She just had like an addictive personality.
Right. She just has that behavior that is consistent with an addict who's just completely doesn't seem to give a shit about how their behavior affects others, and their needs are the only things that matter. Like, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, but that's consistent with narcissistic personality disorder as well. And I've known people.
Overlap.
I'm sorry, say that again.
They overlap. People
Right.
People with narcissistic personality disorder, a lot of the same definitions of what they encompass are also the same things that an addict has. So it's very similar. They present very similar to an addict.
Okay. People are asking if this is Dietz. Is this Dietz?
It is.
Oh, hey, what's up? Yeah. Okay.
Do I sound different
As soon
on
as
the
they
phone?
mentioned it, I was like, that. Yeah. I was like, okay. Yeah, that does kind of sound like Dietz. So, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
I do think that there's a lot of the same, the grandiose, the histrionics, like all of those things, the manipulation and the lying. You see that in addicts, and you also see it in narcissists, and all those things kind of combine. And then when you get both of them together, the comorbid diagnosis, it's extremely bad.
Right, which is what we're seeing. We're seeing extremely bad, like I got the same sitting there through hours and hours and hours, literally, of her just lying constantly and avoiding anything that even resembled a path to go down to take any accountability, right?
Right.
Throughout the whole trial, in every phone call, every interview, we're seeing this. And I got the impression, like I got the same feeling I got when I'm talking to somebody who is completely and totally irrational because they've been on a bender. And I'm like, I can't even fucking talk to you, dude. And this is me who at the time was probably using too. And I'd be like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about right now?
Yeah.
And it's usually somebody who's gonna, like, the second that your back is turned or you leave your wallet sitting up there, it's gonna disappear. You know what I mean? Like those type of people. And it just seems like to me, it just seems like you said, they overlap and it's very consistent.
It is. And I was thinking when you asked, okay, why? Because if she suffered from, if it wasn't that mental health issue, it's obviously some mental health issue and possibly some addiction. So why then? Why that moment? And it just got me thinking. And as I said in the chat, like this just has my thinker spinning. But what narcissists and even addicts crave most is that attention and that affirmation from the object of their desire, right? So for Letecia, it was that. She needed his attention. She needed his affirmation. She needed all of that. And so how is she going to get it?
Right.
And we see that in what she searched on Google.
Right.
And then you look at Gannon and what he was in Al's life. And while he seems like an amazing kid, he also seemed like a kid that needed, because of the issues he went through just entering this world, he needed time and attention.
Right.
And so you have a husband who is gone for extended periods of time, and then he gets back home and he has to spread his time and attention evenly amongst his wife and his children. But then you also have this, child that needs more, higher need of attention from you. And so he obviously is going to get more. Now, a normal, sane person would be like, of course, give our child that attention because they need it. But a person like Letecia, no, that gets, it just eats away at her, because that's what she wants. She wants that time and she wants that attention.
Right. So that would be the overall motive, and probably why the prosecution's focusing on that more, right? Just in theory, just spitballing here. And Ed Black just commented, and he's saying her teacher job, she bailed out because she would fail a drug test. That's an interesting point. I'm not sure if that's the case exactly, but she was about to start a job, and she was going through the orientation process. And I guarantee they give drug tests to people who are about to work with children in any job, especially in a job where you're educating kids, right? So
right. Well, and think of the Southwest job. If maybe that's why she came back so early, as she refused to do a drug test.
Right.
Because they would have demanded that as well.
Right. So that's another thing I didn't even think of. So that fits into that too. Yeah. I'm wondering.
So then I'm thinking, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just got to get this all out of my brain. And so I'm thinking of the hike the day before. And so she already has this child who she's jealous of the attention that Gannon gets instead of her, because that's what she wants, is the superiority, and to feel more in control and to have more of the affection and attention showered on her from everyone in her life. And you have this child who's already a higher needs. He was going through the GI issues, and that's a lot of conversation time back and forth with your husband dealing with that instead of herself. And then they go on a hike that she has planned for her and her kids, and there's a monkey wrench thrown into that in her mind by Gannon, that because he has this accident. So I just feel like it's, when you take a snowball at the top of a hill and you start pushing it down, I just feel like it's that buildup that she was having. And if he caused the candle incident, it just created that snowball effect of getting bigger and bigger buildup in her, to where essentially she was just done and wanted to eliminate the person that was sucking all the attention away from her husband.
And why the overkill? Why stab him 18 times? Why shoot him? And why beat him over the head? See, and I realize, I'm sorry for getting graphic here, but I'm going to say that I feel like it's possible that she, I'm going to feel like it's possible that she was always trying to make it look like someone else did it,
Yeah.
So I
Well, because if she pre-planned it a little bit, which I feel she did,
Same
I
here.
do feel like she had planned on taking Gannon's life at some point. I don't know if she knew when or anything like that, but I do feel, just from everything I've seen so far, that she pre-planned it. She also has to turn it into a situation where she becomes the center of attention, in her mind, a positive way. Because if she just kills him and goes straight to jail, she loses most of that attention. But if she has a missing child, then she might have to share the spotlight with Landon and Al, but she still gets that attention. As we know, it quickly unraveled for her, but I think she used that as an opportunity to have her husband's attention, as thick and twisted as it is.
Yeah. I had the same theory. I had a similar theory on Chris Watts. My theory on Chris Watts was that Chris Watts is a mama's boy, you know. His mom was him, and based, if you remember, Chris Watts's mom used to butt heads with Shanann a lot, right?
Right.
Especially like over the Peanuts thing, and Shanann just like Chris Watts' mom, you know, she always pissing her off, right? They always butted heads, but they always seem to have this weird, you know, over, you know, who's going to make sure that Chris is okay kind of thing. A very strange competition over, you know, like, he's not your son anymore, he's my husband kind of thing. You know what I mean? And you know, but Chris was always dependent on the woman in his life, because even when he was dating Nicole Kessinger, according to her interview with law enforcement, she was the one that would go looking for apartments for him, and she would take care of everything for him, because he just wasn't motivated enough to do it, or didn't have the you know, the mental means to be able to problem solve the way that the women in his life that he had would be able to do for him. Right now, Nicole Kessinger believed that Chris Watts was the way that she looked at him, or at least the way she claimed in the interview, was that she even though she Googled wedding rings or something like that, I can't remember exactly, but she tried to tell law enforcement that she was not interested in anything other than just sex with him, right? And that they were supposed to just carry on a very physically natured relationship. But she was still doing all of this stuff for him, hoping that he's going to get back on his feet. And she encouraged him to stay with Shanann and try to reconcile his marriage with her, because they were having these problems and blah, blah, blah. Right. But my theory was that if that's true, he would get the indication that he's not gonna be with this girl anymore, right? So how does he keep her around? Well, he gets rid of the family that she is trying to encourage him to make work, and then, and this is just my theory on motive, and then once they're gone, he gets to have her as a shoulder to lean on and say, you know, oh my God, my family's missing and I have nobody, you know, and oh my God, poor me, you know, I have no idea where my family is. What am I going to do? And she's the shoulder to cry on. And then eventually she just kind of gets used to being around and consoling him. And, you know, they just get used to the idea of his family being missing. Right. That's what I think was on his mind at the time, personally.
I agree.
Mo says, I don't understand how she got the job in the first place. I had to take an FBI background check and a drug test before I even set foot in a public school. Yeah, but I think that probably a lot of schools are different, where, you know, they let you go through an orientation process or something like that, and then they make you take a drug test. Or it's possible that they tried to schedule a drug test and she would say, well, you know, I can do it tomorrow, or oh shit, I can't make it today, I can do it the next day, blah blah blah, but I can come in and fill out paperwork and whatever the fuck it took to avoid having to take the drug test and put it off is probably what she did.
Was she also at a private school?
I don't know.
Or was it a okay?
I don't remember.
Go ahead, sorry.
I know there was an elementary school. Yeah, I'm just not sure. It's all in that video that I did, but you know, I wrote a script for it, so you know what I mean. I don't remember every detail of it.
Well, there's just so much in this case; it would be hard to retain every single thing.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it's just the drugs seems to make the most sense to me. Is all I'm saying. You know. I mean, and with the candle, I just, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think you feel, I don't know, the way it's coming across, I shouldn't put words in your mouth, is that you feel like the candle was some type of diversion for her or something like that. I feel like the candle incident really did happen. Now, I agree with you. It doesn't make sense for an 11-year-old boy to have a candle in his room or to want to light that up. Just thinking back to my own son, like at 11, no, a candle would not be something he would be concerned about having in his room. But I feel like that instance really did happen and he really did get hurt. And it was just the straw that broke the camel's back for something she was already planning in her mind. And it gave her the momentum and the opportunity to proceed with something that maybe she had fantasized about, you know, eliminating that so that she would have more of the family's attention.
Right. Something happened Sunday night when they came home from the hike.
Yeah.
Something happened Sunday night when they came home from the hike, and I think it happened late Sunday because she planned on keeping Gannon home from school. She texts her boss at 4 a.m. You know, and
I think that whole candle video for me shows premeditation. I feel like she did that video on purpose for that very reason.
Absolutely. Right. So, I mean, yeah, the candle thing is a factor, but maybe the candle didn't cause the burn in the first place. Maybe she's just using the candle as some sort of bullshit story as to why the candle, why there was a fire. But maybe like Amy is saying, smoking meth fire. The same thing happened to the Oakley Carlson case, right? I don't know how familiar you are with that case. Oakley Carlson is a 4-year-old little girl who went missing. I think she's 5 now. But that's if she's alive. She's not believed to be alive. But she was a little, long story short, she was put into the system because her parents were meth heads. The father is actually an ex-cop, and he got fired for dishonesty is all we know. Dishonesty. So he got kicked off the force for that. And I don't know what that was. Maybe he had to take a drug test and they probably caught him with like fake piss or something like that. Who knows? But he was absolutely a drug addict. So was his wife. And so Oakley ended up in the system and ended up with these adoptive parents, these wonderful adoptive parents. But then the system gave Oakley back to her natural parents, and then she disappeared. There's more details to that, which I've gone over before, but basically what ended up happening was they had a fire in their house. They even started a GoFundMe because of the fire, and they claimed in the GoFundMe that their 4-year-old had accidentally set the fire. Now, how a house is going to catch on fire from using meth. I don't know. I don't use meth. I don't know how meth works. But somehow they it started a fire in the house, and then most of the house burned down. There was significant damage to the house from the fire, and they claimed that their 4-year-old had set the fire. Now, eventually, once they figured out that Oakley was missing, and they were not cooperating with law enforcement in any way, shape, or form, they have 2 other kids. Oakley had 2 other siblings, and then they drug tested those kids, and both of those kids came out with extremely high amounts of methamphetamine. One that was
they did the hair follicle test on him. It was very intense.
Right. So one of the kids was supposedly it was so high, the content of methamphetamine was so high that it rivals those who actually overdose. And another one was that of consistent with somebody who was using it regularly, and they believe that they were ingesting meth somehow. So either they were giving it to them, and they wonder if that's what happened to Oakley. But somehow a fire started in that house, and it's meth related. So I mean, I don't know if the fire in Gannon's house was meth related or not. But
I agree, and so I think what you're trying to say is that the fire that was started with Gannon, it could have been something that Letecia had started. We already know she believes she's a great manipulator, but even though I don't think she could manipulate most adults, she absolutely could manipulate an 11-year-old boy.
Absolutely.
So the parts that we hear in that video where he is, where it sounds like he's guilty of causing the fire, she could have easily manipulated him into believing he had caused that situation. I get what you're saying.
Right. So, again, basically, there's just a lot of things that could be, in my opinion, personally, a lot of things that could be consistent with her using meth, all the way from her behavior to just the way that she talks, and her and the money being missing, and and just being a manipulator, but thinking that she's better at being manipulative than she actually is. That type of delusion is I've seen that with narcissistic people, but on drugs. It's like take Bullhorn Betty, for instance, right? I'm not a doctor, but I personally believe that she is extremely consistent. Her behavior is very consistent with somebody with borderline personality, narcissistic disorders, for sure. But I mean, I don't know if she is or not.
Absolutely.
But I believe that she would do a much better job at lying, even though she's a terrible liar. I believe she would do a much better job at lying than Letecia did.
Because of the lack of drug.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's because of a lack of drug use, but it would make the most sense to me. But that I'm saying the lack of drug use would make sense, because if BHB would be a better liar. I don't suspect BHB of currently using drugs. I don't. I mean, I think she drinks from time to time, but I don't think that she currently actually uses drugs. She's up too early in the morning. You know what I mean? It's not consistent, but I feel like she would do a better job. I think that she shares that delusion that people will believe her lies, and she'll convince herself that these lies are true, but her lies are actually somewhat believable to a certain degree. If you know a little bit more, and if you know enough about her and you pay close enough attention to her and you're looking for the lies, they're easy to spot. You know what I mean? But
what makes someone a good liar? I hate saying that, but what makes someone a good liar is when they mix in a little bit of truth to it. And so far from what I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, Letecia didn't add hardly any truth at all to her stories about pertaining to Gannon. And
except for, that they had went hiking and what happened that the girls, around the two girls, because obviously they could tell she was lying if she wasn't truthful about that. But the rest of it's all just been a snowball after snowball of lies, and there's not even a little kernel of truth mixed into it.
Right. But like the lies that she tells are so unbelievable and outrageous that they can't be they can't be proven. They're easily misproven, easily. And she tries to deflect and run away from the lies or whatever, but it seems as though something more than just hiding the fact that she killed Gannon, she's hiding something else. It's always been that way.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're trying to say.
You see what I'm saying?
I get it.
There seems to be more about her that she is covering up and lying. And that she's, God forbid you find out about it. And I believe that to be drug use, personally.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I'm tracking now. I see where you get that. I lean more towards the sexual addiction, and that's what she's trying to cover up. But
yeah,
I get what you're saying, and I can't disprove it, of course. But
no, and I'm entertaining that possibility and even likelihood. I believe that Gannon caught her doing something that she was afraid of having to explain. That's what I think happened. That is definitely my theory. The question is, what did she catch him with a man, or did he catch her with a man? Did he catch her doing drugs? What was it? So, and Al being out of town is a perfect opportunity for her to do either or. Because
right.
Yeah, I mean, because I've partied where, even though there was an addiction, I didn't do it every day. I didn't need to have a bag in my pocket all day long, all the time. It was just like, fuck, I cannot wait till Friday and I'm doing all the cocaine. You know what I mean? But I wasn't like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I wasn't. I don't know. I just didn't.
Because you didn't have that mental disorder on top of it. That's why it doesn't look exactly the same.
Well, but I also didn't. I also was very careful about nobody knowing what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like nobody could know what I was doing. Like I had kids. You know what I mean? And I didn't live with them, but God forbid my ex found out, at the time, or, anybody else. Eventually I just came clean and I was like, yeah, this is a fucking problem.
You still needed to keep it a secret at that time.
Right. She's actually the one that I told. And then, right. But which was a bad idea. That's a whole nother story. But I knew that by talking to her, it's because I wanted to stop. And I knew that by talking to her about it, I would be forced to quit. You know what I mean? I would have no other choice.
Right.
Out of all people, there was no way I was ever going to be enabled in a position to where I could continue doing so. So I put myself in that fucked up position, but the thing is when I wanted to continue and I wanted to be doing what I wanted to do, God forbid anyone ever found out about it. I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want to do it with anybody. I always did it alone. And I didn't want anybody to, to know that I was doing it, and, that was when I quit permanently and just never did it again.
Right.
But, like I did it socially, but everybody else got married and settled down. And I was just like, nope.
I see some parallels. I shared on a video I did previously that when my son was 14, we took in his best friend and we he's our son now. He has been since then. But the reasoning behind that was his mother was an addict. And that's probably the most in-depth that I've dealt with an addict. Know a couple other people who have suffered from addiction, but not to the point where you abandon your child. She literally brought him over for an overnight, and then we couldn't get a hold of her for 6 weeks. And so
Wow.
like an actual, and then dealing with this woman, she never wanted her, and she had 2 other kids that she left at other places throughout that time as well. But all the lies that started coming with it, it was very easy for me and my husband to spot that it is, spot those lies for what they were. But for him, as a 14-year-old boy who wants nothing but to believe, the best in his mother, wants that love, attention, and affection from his mother, those lies are very easy to believe. And, it took him years before he admitted to himself that his mom was an addict. But the parallels that I'm drawing is the lies that his mom would tell us and other people in the community and things like that to hide the fact that she abandoned her children and was a huge addict, to the same ones that Letecia shares. It's she's only going to share, and she's going to lie about, because she wants people to see Letecia as this version and not this real version, if that makes sense. So I get what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. Like you were explaining, you had to continue these lies and almost like a role play to keep it going so that your child didn't find out. And I see Letecia absolutely being capable of doing that with her family. And so if Gannon did walk in on her and just seen something that he shouldn't have seen, didn't have to be walking in on her and see something, he could have found something he wasn't supposed to find or something along those lines. And then she definitely has to eliminate the threat of what she perceives to be the threat in her mind.
Right. Like, what if she was maybe, what if the reason why she continues to add another person into the scenario, but lie about who it is, maybe there was another person in the scenario, at least on Sunday night, right? In the house, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm only equating her behavior to drugs, but you're
Right.
saying it could just be sex addiction, but I'm saying that she act like a fucking high person on meth. You know what I mean? But Ed Black here is saying, look, she could have been getting it on with a man on the couch, knocked the candle over, and could have woke Gannon up, and she was caught. What if she was getting high with a man, and and Gannon walked in, startled them, and the candle got knocked over?
Well, that's true, Ed, and then she could very easily take either one of those scenarios and manipulate Gannon into believing he was the cause of knocking the candle over, because we only hear a tiny split second of his voice in that video.
Right. She's doing all the talking, like, and she and it's totally with the vibe that she's coaching him, because she's doing all the talking, saying, you don't want this, right? This is supposed to happen, this, right? Blah, 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 blah. And he's just crying and going, yeah, because he's anything other than agreeing with her, there's going to be consequences, somehow he got hurt, physically hurt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this other call.
Yep. Thank you. Sorry I took up so much.
No, you're good. No, it was great. Thank you so much for calling in.
You gave us all a lot to think about and to chew on tonight, for sure. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. All right. Whoever just tried to call, try to call back. Because I'm going to go ahead and take another call. At least one more call. Let me there, the numbers there on the screen. Hello.
Crispy treat or sugar crisp, whatever.
What's up?
Hi. Nothing. I just was thinking like that you really are. I think that this drug thing is that's a good, pretty good theory. I think what I had seen, I've seen it on talk shows before. Dr. Phil has had a couple of people that have tried drugs where a lot of people that have done drugs, have had like some bad episodes, but he's had some people on there that have had a episode where they just didn't come out of it. There's certain kind of drugs that don't, that can mess with your mind in a certain way that particular person that might have some underlying mental health issues. And that could be and then they don't really come out of it, And I think that there hasn't been a whole lot of accountability with her if Al was gone. So she was really running things. I would be interested in hearing what Harley has to say now that she knows more. Maybe she'll do an interview, you think?
I hope not. I hope she just moves on with her life, honestly, personally. But like, I mean, that's the thing is like, it's, I can relate to the psychosis, like I've gotten paranoid when while I'm high, I know that I'm being irrational in my paranoia. I'm like, there's nobody here.
I'm the same way.
And
too.
I tell myself, I'm like, why are you, you're freaking out for no fucking reason. There's nobody out there.
Right.
What are you doing? And yet at the same time, like I'd have to like turn the volume down on things and what? And
yeah, but you know that you're high and you know that you can, like, that like it's going to go away and you know that you're high and that's.
And if I was in a
you're being an
position,
idiot.
if I was in a position to have to explain myself to somebody, I would sound like a fucking raving lunatic, So
right
there she is in a position to where she has to explain herself to people. You know what I mean? Calamity Jade, thank you so much. How did camera not catch any other male though? See, that's where I'm hung up too, because somebody's also saying that there's an entrance to the side where you wouldn't be able to see somebody, but you'd be able to see a car come through, I mean, like I'm sure law enforcement considered this.
I kept thinking to myself, why in the hell why didn't she say that he went out the fucking back door and that'd be it? Like, and not be like, I have no idea what happened to him. He went out the back door. I've never seen it. I haven't seen him since.
No, Ed Black, I know it was the neighbor's cam, but I still say that somebody even being around the house would have found something.
Right.
The camera would have picked that up. Quinn B. Well, I mean, at least a vehicle. I know what you're saying, but at least a vehicle. I feel like Quinn B. Says, "I am astounded by L's details. No way this wasn't premeditated, based on lack of time after she hurt him. You are spot on. Drugs make more sense. She is using BPD insanity to cover that up. I agree. Same here. That's what I think. I think she's even using that shit as an excuse."
Well, the bath salt thing, for her saying that, I was wondering if she was, trying to set something up to make it sound like he ran off with, like some drug, to go with some druggy kids, and we never saw him again.
Right.
I wondered if that was like kind of a premeditation, that something she was thinking about for a while. Well, she obviously was thinking about it for a while because she's Googling how much she hates him.
Right. Right. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna leave the line open.
I'm gonna let you go. I just wanted to call in and be supportive.
No, thank you. You're always very supportive. Thank you so much.
I like the phone thing. That's really cool. Really nice.
Yeah, I'll try to make it work in a more practical manner in the future, but I do like taking calls. So
yeah, I really like it. It's a great touch.
Right on. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Bye. I will.
All right. Bye. Hello.
Hi, it's Amy. How you doing? I'm not going to be as detailed or about as everybody. I'm just listening to all these calls. Everybody's got such good things to say about the case, but I don't know. This is a different angle. I can see that she's an addictive personality. Because look, not you don't want to blame Al for anything, but he's addicted. He's addictive to things. He's always with a woman. He can't be without somebody. So there's something that might have attracted both of them. So it's very plausible that she has addictive things going on, sexual or drug related. So that's very plausible to me. But I don't really have theories about what she might have done to him because I'm listening to the case and everybody's all over the place. And I really can't, for me, I cannot get a timeline of what she might have done to him. You know what I mean? It's very hard because they're all over the place. Candles, did she shoot him? Because when I listened to the doctor that did the autopsy, gunshot, so I really couldn't tell if she shot him first or did she burn him first or did she stab him first. So I really don't have that under control as far as my theories, but I know that she's evil. I know that the jury is asking very good questions, and I think that I'm a medical person, I'm a nurse, so I'm sensing that some people on that jury must be nurses or in the medical field, and I'm hopeful that with those questions that they're coming up with, that they're seeing right through her, because it doesn't make sense that she would have DID. And my other question is this defense witness, the doctor, did she actually examine Letecia or not? Or is she just an expert and she's going to tell her expert opinion, tell the expert opinion?
I believe, if I understand it correctly, that she did conduct an evaluation on Letecia. And then the results were more leaning towards, someone with DID, but she had her lawyers to coach her through it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't see how that's going to pass over on the jury. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm a nurse, and I think, and from what I studied, none of this makes any sense.
Thank you, Lex Lux.
It doesn't make what she's stating, that because she's not having loss of memory, and the thing is that when you have people with different personalities, you're going to see handwriting changes, their blood pressure changes, a lot of things in their body will change, and I don't understand why they're not even asking those questions of the experts about that.
And there's a life insurance thing. Lex Lux super chatted and asked about the life insurance. Apparently, she took out a life insurance policy on Gannon, but that hasn't come up once in this trial. So,
well, I just hope that they give them a lot of time to cross-examine the defense with expert, because
they will for sure.
Get 90 minutes. That's outrageous. And there was a good thing that Dr. Henry Lee, who's a famous forensics doctor out of Connecticut. If you look him up, he's very well known. And there was an interview, and it says, "What crime could someone get away with?" And he says, "One that you don't commit." So I don't think she's going to get away with this, to be quite honest with you. I really think people can see right through it. And I didn't know much about the case until I started listening to the trial. And from what I listed here, if I came in as a blank slate, impartial, I would say that she's guilty, and I don't believe that she has DID, because none of it makes sense.
Oh, it's too convenient that it all came up, like now. You know what I mean? Like it comes up 3 years later, just before the trial and everything. I don't buy it.
And I also don't think she had any patience for a child like this. I've seen kids. I'm a nurse, and I did case management for pediatrics. I've done school nursing. I also want to know where the school nurses were, when he was going to school, and what they were seeing. If there was a pattern, or it's just a shame that no one saw this and was able to say something.
See, I don't believe. I believe that I agree with you. Actually, I believe that she lost her patience with him at some point. But I believe that if the only motive was she didn't like Gannon, he was too much of a pain and too much high maintenance to deal with because she wasn't mature enough to deal with his problems, she would have planned this better. You know, I believe she would have planned this murder better. I think something happened that she needed to cover up, and the only way to actually cover it up was by killing him. So I think that, you know, it was something that there was a risk that Gannon would repeat what he saw or something that he experienced, something that happened to him. But I believe he was murdered to keep him quiet about something that he witnessed or experienced that needed to be covered up.
Right. I can see that. And the last thing I would say, I agree that Harley shouldn't go on and do anything or say or go on social media and give interviews. And if I were her, I would change my name. I really think that people, if they want to have anonymity and if they're in these cases, they really need to change their name so they're protected. And I would hope she gets into serious therapy because of her upbringing and what happened. And that's all I have to say. And I just pray for that there's justice for this child.
I feel like there will be. I think that the prosecution is doing an excellent job in presenting the case. I think that the defense is doing the best with what they've got. But it's not enough, you know, because a lot of people they're really criticizing the defense and being like, these guys are idiots and blah blah blah. But the thing is they're bound to sound stupid when their only defense is totally unbelievable. You know what I mean?
It is. It absolutely is. When I was in nursing school, we were taught that this is a very rare thing to happen, and I don't think she has it from what I see. So, and that's basically it. All right, thanks. You do a very good job, and I'm a former BHB follower. Just so you know, I've left the dark side.
So while I've got you on the phone, can I ask you what the appeal is? And then, you know what I mean? Like, and this is not to put you on the spot. That's great, and I'm glad you're here. So what was the appeal in the first place? And then what made you change your mind?
Well, with the appeal was because I'm like an activist kind of person, and I like justice, and what I was seeing was I just, you know, thought that what the people were doing was wrong, and then I'm like the person that would go out and demonstrate if something wasn't right. So that was something I liked seeing, and plus I'm on the same page politically, so that was sort of interesting to watch her. And being that I'm a nurse and I did peds case management, I've done school nursing. What really, you know, broke the straw with her was she was promoting in several videos corporal punishment of children, taking her grandchildren and whooping their behinds. Like, I live in the north, and it's not.
Oh wow! So this is recent.
It's not a cultural thing it's like up here we don't hit kids.
Right.
We use words to teach kids their to how to manage. We don't, you know, you don't teach a child to use their hands to solve a problem.
Right.
To me, discipline is talking and guiding a child. It's not taking your hand to them. And I have a teaching background as well as an RN background. And I have a daughter, and
my whole thing with that.
Her. And I'm just saying that it turned me off. It triggered me, and I got very upset hearing her. That's supposed to be a child advocate.
Right.
Promoting using your hands or taking a switch and laughing a little bit about it. And that's what really got me upset. And then she said she was going to DC to talk to politicians, and she didn't, and she wasn't pushing, which I believed in doing, because I saw kids that were abused in the hospital. I worked in the city hospital as a case manager for pediatrics, and I saw these horrific cases, and I'm like, how can someone that's being a child advocate push for hitting kids? To me, that's an oxymoron.
Yeah, and I realize this is a little off the subject. But there's no way I'm not going to take the opportunity to speak to somebody who feels this way, because I, you know, I'm not out to just, I mean, I realize I make fun of her because it's easy to do so, but there's a method to my madness. The reason why I do it is because people are more likely to heed to what you're trying to tell them when they're captivated and entertained. You know what I mean?
Well, it is entertainment. It's like an entertainment. And it's funny. My daughter would think she's a fool. And listen to this. My daughter doesn't even like Molly Golightly. You know what she did? She made a Roblox character out of her to make fun of her. I'm just being funny. But like my daughter, we would just listen when you laugh. But like the fact of the matter is, like, how could I listen to somebody that's promoting this? And they're supposed to be a child advocate. To me, that is the utmost antithesis of what you're doing. If you're trying to be an advocate for children and be a person that's speaking and have a voice for children, and you want to prevent these crimes and adults hurting them, why are you doing that? Why are you keep telling people to do that when we're trying as a society to stop that and have parents learn real indifferent parenting techniques other than using their hands on them?
Right. No, and I appreciate that, because, you know, like, even though, like, I make jokes in regards to her, but I'm very serious about how I feel about what she does, and what she does is potentially very dangerous. The message that she sends is dangerous, and she fools people, and you were a victim of being fooled, but you woke up, and that's great, and that's
I never
not
gave her money. Like, I'm not one to give money. I'm not really
right.
into giving money. Like, I didn't financially. It was just
Okay.
watching somebody, you know, and thinking that I was trying to see justice done for people,
Right.
children that are victims, and that.
And I get the appeal, because it, you know, there's that, her argument is, well, we're out there doing stuff and you guys are just sitting on your duffs and not doing anything. And it's like, well, we're not doing we're not doing the things that you're doing for a reason. It's because it can cause damage to.
Well, also you could lose your job. Do you think people are going to take it to go out there and have their face on social media, and it gets back to their boss?
Well, yeah.
People do not want to have that, because they have to feed their families, and if they get arrested, they can lose their professional license. That's that's serious.
Right. Right.
If they can't feed, then you can't feed your family because you're out there protesting, and you'll get into trouble, and you have to pay all these legal fees, and then you can't pay your bills. Come on, you know.
She doesn't. Yeah, she can't relate to that. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and take another caller.
Thanks for talking.
No, thank you. And I'm gonna talk more. Like, I'm gonna take phone calls the next time that I do a Betty stream. So, because I'm really interested in talking with people like you, and I really appreciate you coming up and explaining that. So thank you so much.
Have a good night.
You
Take
too.
Care.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
It's Maggie Kate. I've got words.
Who's this?
Maggie Kate. I've got words.
I've got words. What's up?
Okay? Good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
So, I was kind of piggybacking off of what y'all were saying about possibly if she was doing meth, because that kind of reminded me of something. Do you remember back in 1997 the Andrew Cunanan saga that went on?
What saga?
Andrew Cunanan.
Oh, you broke up again. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew Cunanan. He went after
he was kind of a serial killer. He went after a few different people that he knew, and then ended up killing Gianni Versace in Miami in 1997.
Oh, I don't know anything about the guy, but I remember the Versace. I was living in Miami at the time, so I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, what his friends were saying prior
I was
to
actually-
his killing spree was that he got into meth, and and they saw like some kind of significant change within him about a month or two prior to his little killing spree that he went on.
Huh.
And so I kind of wonder if, maybe if that were the case with her, with Letecia, maybe that did also do kind of like some brain damage within her,
Wow. Yeah, possibly. Definitely. Yeah, I just think, yeah, because my whole thing is, and maybe it's just me that I can't stand. Maybe I'm just being biased because I can't stand what she did to Gannon so much that it makes me so angry and so sick that
right.
I any type of mental illness sounds like an excuse for her behavior.
Oh, totally.
So I guess it's easier for me to just, entertain the theory of drug use, because I know drug use is no excuse. Drug psychosis is no excuse for that for that kind of behavior. So that's probably why I'm going there. But there's so much. Once I started thinking that, there was just so much that made the drug theory make sense to me. You know what I mean? It wasn't just one little thing. That's why I did an entire live to discuss it with you guys and open the phone line so we can have a dialogue. Because I mean, if somebody could just shut it down, that's cool too. Because like I said, it's just theory,
Right.
So, but it's not something that I absolutely believe necessarily. Like I said, I'm open to any other theories or whatever. But this is what makes the most sense to me as far as her behavior goes. It's all self-serving, and it's just so consistent with an addict.
It is very much so. And the thing is, we may never know.
Right. Yeah, we probably won't. I mean, you could drug test her all day now. It's not going to matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And there was never any like actual drug evidence or evidence that she was actually doing. I also
and
wonder
maybe
if
there is.
all the
Here's the thing, though. Maybe there is evidence that she was using drugs, but the prosecution either feels that it's irrelevant to bring up, or for whatever reason, they feel it may actually hurt their case in some way, shape, or form in a way that we're not thinking of.
That's a good point.
But I don't know.
We'll have to see what the defense pulls out.
Right.
Because I could see them using something like that as a crutch for her.
Yeah.
Like, take pity because she was an addict.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean.
Or maybe she had a bad experience on something. Maybe she tried something and had a bad experience.
Yeah, or maybe her stepfather used drugs around her and forced her to use drugs and blah, blah, blah. And she's just a victim here. There could be anything for all we know. It's like what I was talking about last night with when I was going over Harsh Realities. He's going, there's so many holes in the Idaho case, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how do you know what holes there are? You don't know what evidence they have. For all we know, there's all kinds. For all we know, when they searched the house, when they searched Letecia's house, they found a meth pipe and actual big bag of meth. For all we know, we don't know. You know what I mean? It's all a question of what they determine is evidence in convicting her for Gannon's murder and what's relevant in doing so. And they're not going to bring up anything else because it's not relevant. So who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting week.
Right. Exactly. Yes, it will. Yo, thank you for calling so much. It's good to hear from you. I got words.
Thank you for opening up the line.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Have a good night.
You too. All right, I got time for one more call. If anybody wants to call in. Yeah, I know. Harsh is totally a moron. This guy's a fucking idiot. Hello? 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 Oh, I lost him. I got time for one more call. Hello? I don't know. Maybe it. Wow. No, I'm really glad I did this live, man, because yeah, you guys have been really like because it's been a while since I've did a live where I really like interact with my chat. And it's been a long time since I've done a live to where I open up panel, but I don't want to open panel anymore. So taking calls is great. So I'm really glad that we get to hang out in this way and discuss this case. This is probably, as far as this case is concerned, this is my favorite live that I've done so far yet. And being able to bounce ideas and theories off of each other with you guys. This live has really made me truly enjoy having the YouTube channel. So I really, really appreciate it. I don't know. It looked like somebody tried to call. Like I said, I'll take one more call if it happens in like the next few seconds. And then I'm going to call it a night. High five. Don't fake the funk. Oh, don't fake the funk. By the way, you in handle of the day, because the funk is definitely something you cannot fake. That is fucking facts. Okay. The funk cannot be faked. So you definitely win handle of the day. All right. So I am going to call it a night, guys. I appreciate you guys calling in. I appreciate you. And you guys are amazing. I love you guys very much. Thank you guys for all of your insight and all of your input and all of your opinions. I appreciate it. You guys are amazing. I had a great time tonight. Thank you guys so much again for all your support, for all of the likes, and any new subscribers are so appreciated. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And regarding the Gannon Stauch, the Gannon Stauch murder trial of Letecia Stauch, or I should say the Letecia Stauch, this Letecia Stauch murder trial of Gannon. I appreciate you guys. And I know some of you guys are watching other creators and whatnot. And as long as you guys, I want you guys to know I'm not in competition with any of the other creators that are covering this case. There's a lot of really good creators that are covering this case. Crime Talk with Scott Reich. He's an attorney. He's covering this case. I'm just grateful for those who choose to watch it here because I like to interact with you guys, as I said. But Scott Reich is covering it. He's an attorney. He's got a lot of great insight. Gray Hughes Investigates is also covering this case. Mel, who's a good friend of the channel, is also covering this case. And of course, Chasing Truth, Tracy Ann, aka Chasing, is now what you'll see her channel name as. And she's covering the case, and she's doing an excellent job, and she's extremely emotionally invested in this case. And there are yeah, like I said, there's just a bunch of really good creators. Grizzly True Crime is covering it as well. You're going to get updates from Annie from 10 to Life on this case as well. I mean, there's just a lot of really good creators that have been covering this case, and you're going to get some great insight from all of them. So, but if you guys everybody's always welcome to mosey on over here. I'm always grateful for anybody who joins. And for those of you who watch with me, there are those other channels that you can, I encourage you to watch this trial with other creators for the reason that you're going to get different insights and you're going to get different opinions. And I think that variety is extremely healthy. The variety of opinions and the variety of thoughts and theories, I think is extremely, I think it's extremely healthy and helpful. So I encourage everyone to watch as many different creators covering this trial as you can. Like I said, it's not a competition for me. For me, it's just I'm just grateful to have people to interact with while I watch it. So yeah, I said it could, Mel. Leah, calm down. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. I love you guys very much. Thank you, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.